If you want to get flexible, then this yin yoga class is for you. You'll be stretching your shoulders, back, hips, and legs. So by the end of this routine, you'll be feeling much lighter, looser, and more flexible. And the more you can repeat this routine, the more flexibility you're going to gain. You will need some sort of strap for this class, so anything at all that resembles a strap is fine. And if you do have yoga blocks, you might have them nearby too, but if you don't have yoga blocks at home, don't worry too much about that. In this routine, every pose is going to have an option to stay at the surface and keep it gentle, or go that little bit deeper. So depending on where you're at with your yin yoga practice and your flexibility, you can either use props to keep that pose gentle, or maybe take them away to go a little bit deeper. Sometimes there'll be options to use the blocks to go deeper. So there really is options for everybody here. And as you keep doing this video and gain your flexibility, then you can start to experiment a little bit more within each pose. So it really does keep that flexibility journey quite interesting. So let's get comfortable, grab whatever you might need, and then we'll meet back here on the mat for a yin yoga class focused on flexibility. You're going to start this routine working on the shoulders with a pose called bow tie. So if you are seeking a more gentle version of this pose, you can use a yoga block to rest your forehead on. And if you're wanting and ready to go that little bit deeper, you might do this without the yoga block. So wherever you are, you can come to lie on the front of your body. Maybe having your yoga block in front of you. And then your left hand comes all the way over to the right side of the mat, and your right hand goes all the way over to the left side of the mat. Walk your hands as far away from each other as you can. And when you're ready, you can either hook your chin to your top arm, which is your left arm this time, or you can rest your forehead down onto the block. And we'll be here for 5 minutes in total. During this routine, you'll be holding each pose for 5 minutes. But if at any point you feel as though you need to come out of the pose sooner, please feel free to do that, and you can always work up to those 5-minute holds. As you can feel, this is a really nice pose to open up through your upper back, getting all around the side of your shoulder joint as well. So just let your breath and gravity do all of the work here. If your mind drifts away and you start to think, that is completely normal. Just try to bring your focus back to your body, back to this nice stretchy pose. It's time now to very slowly transition to the opposite side. So now your right hand comes over first, left arm slides underneath. Having our right arm on top, you're either hooking your chin or coming back down to your yoga block, and we'll be here for 5 minutes. When you're ready to do so, you can slowly unravel your arms. Bring your hands to make a little pillow for your forehead or for one of your cheeks. And resting down on your pillow, bring your big toes to touch each other, allowing your heels to drop towards the edge of your mat. And just resting for the next minute in crocodile pose. And just feeling the effects of bow tie on your body. Now you can make your way slowly back up towards a seat on your mat. Keeping with the shoulders, the next pose that you'll do is Anahatasana. So for this pose, it's actually the opposite with our props. You can go deeper by using yoga blocks. So deeper version of the pose is to put our hands on the blocks. Gentler version is to just have the hands on the mat in front of us. Now your knees will be on the mat, so if they are sensitive, you can always fold your yoga mat to create a little bit more padding. So to start, just come on to all fours. You want to have your hips over your knees for the entire duration of this pose. So just be mindful that they don't shift back or forwards here. And then hands are either coming onto the mat or onto the yoga blocks. And then melt your chest down towards the ground. Forehead might come onto the mat as well. You can make this pose more gentle by bending your elbows and just bringing your hands back closer to you. Or if you're being invited to go deeper, you can bring your chin onto the mat. So feeling that stretch once again through your upper back, within your chest and around your shoulders. Using the sensations that you're feeling there as your anchor to keep your mind here in your body. And just remember that if 5 minutes becomes too much, or if you're feeling any numbness or tingling within your hands, please come out of the pose. You can always rest in child's pose. And there's lots of time to work up to these 5-minute holds. What's more important is to listen to your body and to respect it. And just taking a moment here to check in on your jaw, making sure that it's soft. Your neck and shoulders aren't squished too much. Everything here is yin, soft, gentle. Now when you're ready to do so, you can slide back into child's pose. Taking your time and just dragging your hips back to your heels. And then forehead can come down onto the mat or it can rest onto your hands. And if you're not using your hands, they can come to rest next to your feet with your palms facing up. And we'll be here in child's pose for 1 minute. And this time feeling the effects of Anahatasana on your body. Your fingertips can come back to the mat now. Use the breath in to push yourself back up. And once you're there, you can take a moment just to sit on the mat. Perhaps closing your eyes and just finding a breath or two. You'll be shifting your focus now down into the hips with a pose called butterfly pose. So for the more gentle version of this pose, you can sit on a cushion or a yoga block. And if you don't need that, then that's fine. You can just sit on your mat. Then bring your feet out in front of you, having the soles of your feet together. The further away your feet are from you, the less intense this will be. So find a distance that is appropriate for you right now. Don't worry about trying to get your knees to the floor. For most people, it's absolutely impossible, no matter how flexible you are. So just don't worry about that. You can hold your feet and then gently start to lean forward, slowly dropping your nose towards your feet. And remember, in Yin Yoga, you're just playing one edge at a time. So within each pose, you should be able to feel the stretch, and it should feel like a slight challenge, but you should never feel as though you're forcing anything, or if you are potentially causing yourself an injury by pushing too hard. It should still be gentle, but you should still feel it. So go to that point where you can feel both of those things. And I know there's a temptation to try to go deeper, but for now, just be patient. Listen to your body and wait for those invitations. And with time, you'll get them, and then you might be able to drop your nose a little bit lower. Find some anchors within your hips. connect to your breath and just enjoy the sensations of this pose. And I'll let you know when 5 minutes have passed. Now fingertips can find the mat again, and use the breath in to slowly push yourself back up. And taking a moment or two on the mat just to do whatever you need to do. And when you're ready, you can find a comfortable way to sit. And we'll just pause here, feeling the echo of butterfly pose. Staying with your hips now, the next pose is dragon pose. So you can make your way towards all fours, having your yoga blocks ready in front of you if you are using them. Now, of course, we have lots of options. So the first option is just to bring the right foot forward in between the hands. To go a little bit deeper, you might slide your back knee back slightly. Your back toes can be tucked, or you can have the top of your foot on the mat, whatever feels best for you. So you're welcome to stay here in dragon. If you do have blocks, you can support yourself even more by placing your hands on those blocks. If you want to go a little bit deeper into the pose, you can walk your right foot to the outside of your right hand, pointing the toes slightly away from you. And then we have an option to go even deeper again. And that would be to bring your forearms down onto your yoga blocks, or maybe eventually bring your forearms down onto the mat. So choose whatever feels best for you. Remember, we never want to go too deep too quickly. We never want to allow the ego to take over, because I know it looks cool to come down onto your forearms. But if we do that before we're ready, then we're only just going to cause injury to the body. And the point of yin yoga is to take care of your body and to respect and love your body. It's definitely not to injure your body. So once you feel settled, you can maybe close your eyes or relax your gaze. Bring your awareness down into your hips, feeling that stretch within your groin, maybe within your back quad muscle. Connect to your breath. Remember that if your mind drifts away, that is very human, totally normal. Just bring it back to your breath, back to your body. And I'll let you know when it's time to release dragon. Take 3 more breaths here in dragon pose. And when you're ready, you can slowly slide back into child's pose. You can do a big ah here if you need to. Anytime that we release a pose, it's your body getting rid of something. And find child's pose, where we'll stay for about 1 minute. And now you can start to set yourself up for dragon pose on the opposite side. So your left foot is either coming in the middle of your hands, or it might come to the outside of your left hand. Back knee determines how deep you go into this pose. Now you may or may not be bringing your forearms onto blocks or onto the mat. Now find your breath, find your anchors. We already discussed the first principle of Yin Yoga, which is to find your edge. The second principle of Yin Yoga is stillness. So within each pose, unless we're in pain or extreme discomfort, we're really trying to commit to stillness, resisting those urges to fidget, and then also trying to keep the mind still by stopping the thoughts as soon as we notice them arising, and just coming back to your breath, back to your body, or just back to whatever it is that helps you to stay present. Take 3 more breaths here in Dragon. And now it's time to slowly slide back, finding child's pose where you'll rest for the next minute. Fingertips can find the mat again. And with an inhale, bring yourself back up. And you can come to sit on the yoga mat. The next pose is categorized as a pose for your back. It's really good at stretching and opening up the upper back. But as a little bonus, this pose is also going to stretch your hips and your shoulders. So you will need your strap or belt or whatever you have for this part. You might also have a yoga block or a cushion to sit on if you want to keep this pose a little bit more gentle on your hips. So we'll start just by placing the strap over one of the shoulders. If you just want to stay with a more gentle hip opener, you can sit cross-legged on the mat like so. But if you want to go deeper, you can come into shoelace pose. First, stretching both of your legs out long in front of you. Then bringing your right foot to the outside of your left hip. Staying here or going the full version of the pose by bending your left knee, so now your left foot is beside your right hip. Just make sure that you can feel both of your seat bones pressing into the mat and that you're not sitting on your feet. And if this feels really tight, that's where you can sit on a yoga block or a cushion. So give yourself a moment here just to settle in, feeling that nice opening around your glutes. Now we'll incorporate cow face arms by reaching the left arm out in front of you, push it away, and then bring it all the way back behind you until it won't go back anymore. Turn your thumb down, bend your elbow, and come to hold your strap somewhere along your spine. Right arm reaches up, bend the elbow, and find your strap. Now your right arm will also, or your right hand rather, will aim to also be on the spine. You can choose your destiny here by walking your hands a little bit closer to each other if you want to go that bit deeper. And we want to make sure that the top elbow can stay pointed up and that the back of the neck is nice and long. We're staying here for 5 minutes in total. And that brings me to the third principle of Yin Yoga, the final principle, which is time. Within Yin Yoga, we're always holding the poses for a significantly longer length of time than we do in other yoga styles. Minimum of 2 minutes and maximum of anything up to 10 minutes, maybe even longer, depending on the pose. But this is a really nice reminder that these times are just guidelines. And what's more important is that you listen to your body And if you do need to come out of the pose earlier, please do. And you probably know that I'm going to say you can always work up to those 5-minute holds. Find your breath. Find your anchors. Keep your top elbow pointed up. You're doing really good work here for your spine. This pose is great to improve your posture. And you're creating flexibility in your shoulders, your back, and your hips. Point your top elbow back up to the ceiling if it has drifted down. Straighten your spine and take 3 more breaths. Release your grip from the strap, slowly bringing your hands back down. And then you can unravel your legs. Take a moment just to shake them out or do whatever you need to do. Also releasing your shoulders and your neck. We'll repeat on the other side. So first, if you're coming into the cow face legs, your left foot comes to the outside of your right hip, and then maybe your right foot comes to the outside of your left hip. If you're sitting cross-legged on the mat, now just switch your feet so your opposite foot is in front and you can work into the opposite hip. This time your right arm reaches out in front, push it away, bring it back, turn your thumb down and come to hold your strap along your spine. Left arm reaches up, bend the elbow and find your strap. So remember to walk your hands as close together as brings you to that first edge. Top elbow points up and your back is nice and long. Let's check in on that top elbow, point it up, straighten your back, and take 3 more full breaths. Releasing your grip from your strap. You can remove it for now, but keep it nearby. We're going to be using it again. Release your shoulders, and you can release your legs. Here we'll do some windshield wipers by leaning back on your hands, having your feet about hip width distance apart, and then slowly dropping them from side to side. Releasing cow face, pose entirely from your hips and your shoulders. And the more you can practice cow face arms in particular, the more flexibility you will gain, and eventually you might find that you no longer need the strap and you'll just be able to clasp your hands together behind your back. And if it feels good to pause at any point, feel free to do that. Now you'll be shifting your focus down into your legs, particularly your quads. And we're going to do a pose called saddle pose. So as always, there's lots of options. You're going to be sitting on your mat with your legs in underneath you. And then if you can, you're bringing your feet far apart so you can sit in between them. Now this isn't available for everyone, so don't worry if you can't do this yet. You can take a yoga block or a cushion and sit on it. So our goal here is just to open up the quad muscles. If this feels too intense on your knees, then of course you can sit up on that cushion or yoga block. You might be happy just to stay here for the full duration of this pose. You might be feeling it enough already. But if you do want to go a little bit deeper, you can start to very mindfully walk your hands back. So you're just increasing that stretch within your quad muscles. Now, if you get the invitation from your body to take this pose a little bit deeper, then you might be able to mindfully come back down onto your elbows. And you might lean your head back here to open up your throat. Or if you have some more yoga blocks or a bolster or a cushion, you can rest your head on that. And then if your body is still inviting you to go deeper, well, then you might be able to come down and lie on your back. Being super mindful here of your knees, respecting the limitations of your body. And if you have gone into a deeper version of the pose and you realize that it is too deep, then you can always just go back to the previous version. Don't feel as though you need to stay in the pose once you've come down into it. Now that you've found your edge, commit to stillness. Find your breath. Find the anchors within your body. If you're lying on your back here and you are craving a little bit more opening around your body, you can extend your hands up past your head and then maybe come to hold opposite elbows. And this is also a little bonus way to open up your shoulders. We'll take 3 more breaths here in saddle pose. Now you can really take your time coming out of this pose, especially if you are on your back. So there's no rush, just slowly make your way out. Just one step at a time, maybe coming back to your elbows. And then asking our feet to come out. I know it can be awkward and difficult. But eventually, once you are there, you can just do some windshield wipers. Maybe stretch your legs out long. Do whatever you need to do to release saddle. Now shifting our focus to the back of the legs, we're going to be working on the hamstrings. So your next pose is dangling pose. We do this one by standing. It's our only standing pose in yin yoga. So you can just bring your feet in underneath you, maybe about hip width distance apart. Hands can be in the front. And then straighten out your legs, keeping a slight bend in them. Hold opposite elbows. And for a more gentle version of this pose, you can rest your elbows onto your quads. And to go deeper, you can let your elbows hang. Head drops now. You can take a moment maybe to gently sway forward and back. But then commit to stillness. Staying here for 5 minutes. This is a really good pose to help to lengthen your hamstrings. It's also a great release for your spine, helping to tone all of the ligaments along your spine. Take 3 more breaths here in dangling pose. And now your hands can come back to the floor. Take a big bend into your knees. And then you can find your way back into a seat on your mat. And just taking a moment here to feel the effects of dangling pose and all of the other poses you've been practicing. Now for the remainder of this practice, you will be on your back, so you can slowly roll on down. Make sure your strap is nearby. You can have your legs out long. And then we're continuing to focus on the hamstrings, working with our strap to help open them up that little bit further. So you can wrap your strap around your right leg and then hold the strap with your right hand. Try to keep your right leg and your right arm as straight as possible. And we're just going to hold here like this for about 60 seconds. Trying to use the minimum amount of power necessary to keep your arm and your leg straight. Now, keeping your arm and leg straight, just open them both over towards the right side of your mat. Now, it doesn't matter how low you can get your foot, just let it go to wherever is appropriate for you. And we're just targeting the hamstrings from a different angle. Now lift that right foot back up to the center. Take the strap in your left hand, releasing your right hand, and then bring your right foot over towards the left side of your mat. Again, leg and arm stay straight. Stay looking up towards the sky. Right foot can come back to center. Bend your knee and release your strap. Sending that right leg long. We'll let it rest as you wrap the strap around your left foot and keep it held in your left hand. Staying here for 1 minute. Now open your left leg over towards the left. And now it's time to bring that left foot up. Switch your hands, so now your right hand is holding your strap, left hand can relax, and then bring that left foot over towards the right side of the mat. Keep looking up. Now that left foot can come back to center. Bend your knee and remove your strap. And you can put your strap to the side. Taking a moment just to lie on the mat, however you feel called to do. Feeling the reverberations of those hamstring stretches. Your final yin yoga pose for this routine will work on your back and your spine, and it's called Reclined Twist. So you can bring the sole of your right foot up onto your left thigh and then hold that top knee with your left hand. Right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Stack your hips on top of each other, so now your right hip is over your left, and bring your knee over towards the left. Right arm comes back down to the right and it's perpendicular to your body. And just make sure both of your shoulders are still connected to your mat. If you want to go deeper, you can look over towards the right. Staying here for 5 minutes. As I mentioned, a really good pose to keep your spine flexible. And it also helps to restore equilibrium back into your body at the end of our practice. So find your first edge. Remember, don't go too deep, too quick. Now you can make your way back to center. Right leg stretches long this time, and your left foot comes onto your right thigh. Hold that knee with your right arm and reach your left arm up. Stack your hips. This time your right hip is on top and your left arm comes back down to the left. Both shoulders grounded. If you want to go deeper, look towards the left. Make your way slowly back to center. And from here, stretch both of your legs long. Allow them to take up as much space as they need. Arms are wide and your palms are facing up. We'll spend the last 5 minutes of the practice here in corpse pose. This is where your body soaks up all the benefits of all of the poses that you've practiced. It also builds muscle memory, which will help to increase your flexibility. So just gift yourself the next few minutes here in corpse pose, feeling all of the tension draining out of your body. Noticing yourself feeling heavier and heavier. Your jaw is relaxed. Your face is soft. Feeling all of the new energy circulating your body. Allow yourself to sink deeper and deeper into this relaxation. And then I'll let you know when it's time to come back. You can start to bring a little bit of awareness back now. Just making small movements. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could leave it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to practice with you again in the future, and it also does really support me in making these videos if you do subscribe and like them. When you're ready, you can slowly bring yourself back up into a seat on your mat. I really encourage you to keep coming back and doing this routine, or even just sections of it. The more you practice these poses, the more you'll really notice an increase in your flexibility levels. So I'll see you again soon on the mat. Questions and comments are welcome below. But until next time, take good care of yourself and goodbye.